It's Boxing Day today, and when I woke up this morning, I hadn't intended to do any more on the wildlife pond, but when I looked outside, I could see we had a lovely day, and I thought, oh, let's take advantage, because you just don't know where the weather's going to turn, and I know they're expecting a lot more windy weather or stormy weather, but who knows? They ain't got a clue, have they, really? Let's face it, they don't know anything more than 2 days ahead of time. But anyway, I thought I'd get out here and carry on again. Now, I think I'm 99.9% of the way there now, except maybe around this back edge here. I'm not happy with that, obviously, because it needs something overhanging. And that's where my problem is at the moment. Now, I'm looking for some bigger cobbles, and you know what I'm like, I like to get everything for free. And I could do with some cobbles coming into the gravel, which was the original intention, and covering the sides of that plastic. Because you've got to remember, all plastic on your ponds, whether it be butyl or a thick, heavy plastic like mine is, then it's got to be covered from the sun, because the sun will deteriorate it, and eventually it will pop holes in it, and it's to protect it from birds pecking away at it. Now, there's no fish in here, so we're not going to have a problem with an heron. We've got Donald. We moved Donald, who used to live in the cow drinker. He's now down here, quite happy. He looks good in there. Well, he looks good from the house. I'm not going to leave it there. I put him in there as a joke. Told Kathy there was a real duck on there. She was convinced it was. Anyway, so what have we done? Yeah, we've carried on with the gravel. I could really do with another quarter of a bag of gravel, just to tart around with it and mess about with it. Now, I've not finished fully this section here, but I'm quite happy to leave that now up until spring. That edge there, I'm quite happy with that, because it can't cause me any problems now. And I decided I'd go with this York stone. If you remember, that was in another... Well, you won't remember it was in another place, but it was. It was near the pergola behind me. There, it was right there in that entrance there, and I just thought, you know what, that's just wasted there. So I decided I was going to lift it, and it would come out. It would come out and it would go there and serve the better purpose there. And it is. It looks really good. I'm quite happy with that. So I've tucked in the plastic, or the pond liner itself. I've tucked it down, and what I've done is there, I've dug a channel, dug it downwards, so I've gone down into it, and then we've folded it in and then backfilled it with soil. That's just to keep it in, really. What it could do with the really, some more of these slabs, and I've got some, but I'm really against using them on here, because I've got another place I'm going to be using those. And these 3 slabs that I've got in here, they're just little ones that were hanging around here when we moved here. So they've been used in several places. Let's hope this is the final, but you never know. They might go elsewhere, so it might not be the final resting place. Anyway, still got a cold, and it is cold today. It's a bit blowy. It's not freezing, but it's not the best weather to do this in. But we've got, I've moved the pinus. Now I'm going to do a little YouTube on pine trees, because I've got probably 7 or 8 in this garden that I never really bring your attention to. And I mentioned this one in the last video, and it's Pinus Mugo, and it's Pumila, so it is the true dwarf in Pinus Mugo. It's one that won't grow very big. Don't forget, I said some of them can get up to 15. Well, I've done more research, and they can definitely go up to 12 foot if you don't pinch out the candles. Now, I'll do more on the candling as we go along, but I've done a YouTube before on candling, and it's basically those little bits, those new growths will come up. They look like little candles, and at some point you nip those out and it stops it growing anymore. But with Pumila, you tend not to have to do it. You can just leave it alone. Anyway, so that's what we've done there. So I've moved 1 or 2 of the plants that were, as I said, were going to be in the way. So this little sticky bit here, that there, that's just showing where I've moved the Rheum palmatum, and I've just literally taken it 2 foot back from the edge of the pond, as I said I was going to do. Them leaves are still going to reach that pond. I've positioned them so I can see the new growth already tucked in there, and that is aiming towards the pond. So that should look quite nice. So imagine a big rhubarb, if you're not sure what a Rheum is. Rheum palmatum, a big rhubarb is an ornamental rhubarb, and it will go across towards the pond. I've got other things like hostas that will look good next to the pond, and some big grasses, as you probably could guess I would. There's still things to pull out of here, actually. There's this Viburnum burkwoodii here. I don't really want it there, and it will act as a nice backdrop. It's a Park Farm hybrid one, but it's going to make 5 or 6 foot, if not bigger. And it has a lovely scent, but it's going to cause me problems both with the pond and with this access area, so we may move that so that it doesn't cause future problems. I could deal with it by selective pruning, but do you know what? If it's going to cause too many problems, I'll just move it straight away and get rid of it. Not get rid of it, move it to another part of the garden. I've got somewhere else I could put it. So the pond's looking good. I've since done the causeway that I talked about. So that little raised bit, let's walk over to it and show you. There, so you can see the gravels are raised there next to the duck, next to the decoy duck. You can see there's a bit of a causeway there, and it's up and out of the water. Now, make no bones, this pond will flood over at some point, but for now it's showing that quite nicely. So it's looking good, that side, and I said I was thinking about putting some rocks over to that corner, and so I did. And then I had the idea of the flat York stones, which as I said was under there, the pergola originally. But we've moved those. Now, down at this end here, where the Rheum palmatum is, I've dug it a little bit lower at this end, so as it fills, this is the first area that's going to flood at this section here, and it's got lithrums here right next to me here, that's a lithrum, and then it's got the Rheum palmatum, and both of these will take the flooding absolutely beautifully because they are kind of marginal pond plants, and they'll take any flooding that occurs from that section, and it will help to make them grow better, stronger as well. So yeah, so the gravel up there against the lawn looks pretty good at the moment. I think it looks pretty good at the moment anyway. And it's going to be more like the left-hand side as we look at it. So that gravel there is almost level with the grass. And what I shall do is put some sort of an edge in there, because when I cut it with a mower, I'm in danger of hitting all the gravel. But long term, that grass is likely to go anyway in favour of some hard stand areas, like I don't know what yet, but we will come up with something that isn't grass, because I'm really against the ordinary lawn. Not really keen on them, because they don't really offer anything as far as I'm aware, or as far as I'm concerned, shall we say. I am aware they do offer something, but I don't want them. I don't like them. I think it should be a garden full of flowers and plants for the wildlife, or for whatever, for your own enjoyment. The only thing you can do on lawns is lay on them in the sun. That's about it, let kids play on them. But that's about it. So the idea of this was a wildlife area, and it's called the dip pools. I call it a wildlife dip pool, rather than a wildlife pond, because a pond it is not. It's got 2 of these big pools, and then it's got the dustbin lid there, which is looking nice. But as well, I've left and deliberately left gaps between all these big stones, as you can see. And if you look over there, there's also gaps between all of those, and I have no doubt in my mind that the frogs and toads will make residence in there. They'll begin to find those sections and live there, because that's what frogs do. So we'll have the birds in here. We will have the early bees finding this straight away, I would think. Obviously, insects will find it. I'm hoping to find a dragonfly or 2 flying over. I know it's not a big pond, but I've had dragonflies in this garden loads of times. And I've got not really any big sections of water, but they've still come in. So once they see this, they will definitely come in, and they'll be sat down there. Now, as of yet, and I think I mentioned yesterday that within 10 minutes, I suspect something will come onto this pond and start using it. And as of yet, I've not seen that. That doesn't mean it hasn't. That's why I want a wildlife camera. I want to be able to film what's going on. I have seen birds up in the corylus above it, up in this tree here, this small tree. That's Corylus avellana contorta, and it just looks fantastic. And I know you may be saying, oh, well, you shouldn't put a pond next to a tree, and you're right, you shouldn't. This is more a large shrub or small tree. And when it drops its leaves, yes, they are going to go in there, but I've been here 2 years, probably 3 winters coming up, and I know that the leaves tend to blow towards the back of that. The wind direction takes them that way. Now, I did find a few in here, as I showed at another time. Before I actually started putting the liner in, I showed that there was leaves all in it, and that's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for those to go, to drop, so I could get them out. I don't want to make too much work for myself. It's hard enough as it is. So what I did was take those out. And what I shall do in winter is, which is the point I'm trying to make, what I fully intend to do is net it. So I shall put a net over it as autumn comes, when the leaves start falling. When the first of the leaves start falling off this corylus, I shall get a fine net over the top and I shall leave it there till the leaves drop. And any leaves dropping on as we go along, I shall keep lifting it off and taking them off. And that should be really nice. Really quick and easy to do, and it'll make my job easier, let's put it that way. So, yeah, 99.9% of the way there. I've got one or two ideas to put something on top of there. I do have access to some more of these stones, but not very big ones. I will get some cobbles. I fully intend to get a couple of bags of cobbles, if not more. As I've saved a lot of money on this pond, I might get some more bigger cobbles, and then we shall dot them around the edges and get them going into those dip pools. So it looks more naturalistic, because that's what we want. We don't want it to look like a pond. You know, a pond, it'll either be a naturalistic shape like this one, or it'll be done as an oblong or a square. Something more with straight edges, and them types of ponds, I guess, are more for fish. And I'm not having fish in here. I intend to have no fish whatsoever in here. It'd be nice to find a couple of frogs in here, frog spawn and all that. That'd be good. Then I will have done my job right. So in another 2 months, this is going to look completely different. It'll look completely different because all the plants will be growing all around it. And then we'll see whether we've made the right moves with the plants in September. When I moved them in September, I deliberately moved them to where I thought they was going to suit. I think I've got it right. I've been looking. Okay, there's 1 or 2 moves I've had to make. I've also had to move this reed here, this Arundo Donax, looking dead at the minute, but it's not. That's what they do at this time of year. And that Arundo Donax is going to be big, a big reed, and it's going to look lovely. As I said, I put the Pinus in there, the Mugo type in there, the smaller variety. I'm hoping to keep that around 3 foot maybe. Hopefully it'll get up to that, because some of them don't. Some of them stay pretty squat. And I'm hoping I'll be able to get that a little bit bigger. I do have another type in a pot. The one I mentioned yesterday, Sylvestris, which would, well, it's a smaller variety as well, so maybe not even worth putting that one in. But it should look pretty good. So, yeah. So it's looking good at the minute. Looking good, and I just love that combination of those rocks coming into the pools itself. You know, sometimes I get things wrong. And I think on this one, I've got everything right as far as I'm aware at the moment. Time will tell. I might find 1 or 2 mistakes I've made. Who knows? I'm not perfect. But we'll see. So over time, we may have 1 or 2 changes. As you can see, we get a lovely view through. I love that view there. It's cracking. Cracking view through through this, where I've put this wire mesh, this reinforcing mesh, which is in the Cloister Pergola, which is part of it, as you know. And you just get some lovely views through. So when summer comes, and particularly when this is enclosed with climbers all over, including up here, they're going to climb all over here. Then when I'm sat in here, hopefully, we'll have a different bench here. I've got seats at the moment. We'll have a wooden bench. And we will sit in here, and we will get to enjoy that. So any wildlife dipping in and out, we'll get to watch as well. So from here, it just looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's really nice. So I'm really pleased. Yeah, I was going to just leave this last video till, well, I'm going to do another video until I got to the point where I knew I was finished. But, you know, it's the break over Christmas. I've got time. I can sit in the house for so long before I get bored. And I just had to do something. And it's just looking good now. So it's making that journey around the garden even more interesting. So as we come down that path there, we'll find ourselves coming down to a wildlife area. Let's walk up here and let's just see how that works. Still got loads to do. Oh, while we're here, look, finally the Millennials are blowing over. We had a big load of wind last night, and over the went. And that should have happened about a month ago. But there they go, they're hanging on. Well, they're not hanging on now, then that will be so easy to clear away. Dead easy. All the Millennials have gone over now, so that's really good. So yeah, what was I saying? Now I get carried away, don't I? So I'll look again, let's start again. Right, so you'll come from here, you'll probably come through there. You'll walk yourself down here. You know, remember in summer, these plants will be quite tall, so they'll be disguising a lot of the garden midsummer, and then you'll chance upon the pond, which is exactly the point of building it, as well as for the wildlife. Now, obviously this is the boardwalk and the shack, and we'll sit up here, and again we'll get to view it from here. Now in the summer, most of that will be disguised. Who knows, I may cut ways through it so that we can move 1 or 2 plants so that we still get to view it from up here, so the birds and the wildlife don't know we're looking at them. I don't know, who knows. But yeah, that's the wildlife pond, as good as it's going to get, he says. Although I am tempted tomorrow to go and find some cobbles in that big DIY shop we all know that's orange. I know they'll have them, and I don't need that many. So as I said, I haven't spent a lot on it, so it might be worth investing in 50 quid's worth of cobbles to put around the edge as well, and so it goes in, and you'll see that. If I do that, I'll take a picture and put it on Instagram. Remember, I'm on Instagram, so that's a gardener's journey dot and the number 1, all in one line. That should find me, and I do post up stills, and sometimes I'll post a video, but mainly I post on YouTube nowadays. But if you look on there, there's more stills of my garden as we go along. So yeah, what else can I say about the wildlife area? Not a lot. It's as good as there. Cold, windy day, blue skies above, 1 or 2 clouds coming in. Storms are supposed to be coming in later in the week, we shall see. As I say, they never get that right. There's nothing else I can say. I think that's pretty much it. The cutback. While we're here, let's mention the cutback. I will not touch this garden now till probably mid to late January, depending on the weather. Because as you can see, when you look up there, look at those grasses. Those are miscanthuses up there. On the left, there's Beth Chatto, and on the right of that are Chayugensis, and they're looking stunning. And there's 1 or 2 little ones all over the place, but they're relatively new ones, but you can see them all over, and when they get bigger clumps they'll be stunning. This is why I don't cut back yet, it's too early. Leave it for the insects. But when I do that cut back, I'll do a YouTube on it and show you a before and an after, because it is quite a surprising change once you've done it, if you haven't got many evergreens, and I haven't got tons of evergreens in this garden. So there you go, the wildlife pond, 99.9% finished. I'll talk to you on the next one. Ta-da!